Good morning! It's July. In Florida, it's hot, it's muggy, the garden is green and wet and growing, but our summer garden is pretty much done for this year, so we actually need to start getting ready for our winter garden, which is my favorite garden to deal with because we have less bug pressure, we have less weather pressure, but we also risk losing some plants to the freeze. So it's a risk I'm willing to take. It's much easier to garden during the winter here than it is during the summer. But in the meantime, I thought I'll share with you what we've got still going on and still growing in the summer here in Florida. We have got a beautiful sweet potato patch right here. These are all grown from slips, and I put these in the ground before I left for Germany. I was hoping that they were going to take about 50% or so took because I wasn't here to take care of it. Some of them got eaten away by animals, some of them got eaten up by bugs, but 50% survived once I transplanted the slips into the ground, and this patch should produce us a really great amount of sweet potato. So I'm really happy with how it turned out. I grew sunflowers for the first time this year. I just threw a couple of seeds in the ground, again, before I left for Germany, because everything that's growing right now was basically direct seeded before I left for Germany. So I threw some seeds in the ground, hoping for the best, and we've definitely got some big sunflowers. I have a whole pack of 50 pounds of sunflower seeds in my garage that I have not planted. But it's not too late. I could still plant sunflowers here. We still have plenty of time for them to grow and bloom by October, November timeframe. So we could still do this. But check out how big these things are. Hang on. You see? This is me, this is me, this is me, this is me, this is me. This is the head of that sunflower. I think it's probably 8-9 foot tall. It's huge! We have a bunch of okra. We planted both burgundy and regular spineless okra here. We like it ourselves to can it away, eat it fresh, but also once it gets to a certain size, we feed it to the animals as well. They love the foliage, they love the fruits, and it grows so easy around here. We absolutely love growing okra. Behind me, right here, let me see, we've got roselle. And unfortunately, only 3 plants came up while I was gone, but this should produce plenty of calyxes for us to make plenty of tea out of. I love growing roselle, and next year I'm growing a lot more. I'm gonna be growing a whole field of it because the foliage is edible, the fruit is edible, the flowers are edible, the calyxes once they ripen and get nice and fleshy are great for teas and juices and powders. It's an amazing plant, and it's in the same family as okra, so it grows really, really well around here. Now, when I say okra grows well, I literally picked okra yesterday. There's already a bunch more on here that need to be picked, because if I wait until the end of the day, they're gonna be too big and then they need to go to the pigs. We've got a bunch of stuff going on behind us in the raised beds. We just ripped out the arugula, we just ripped out some cucumbers, the tomatoes. I think I'm done with summer tomatoes. I haven't had luck with that. Peppers are growing really, really nice. We've got a bunch of habanero peppers growing, which I'm excited about. This is probably my favorite place in the garden right now. These flowers are amazing, and all of these zinnias that you see here are from seeds that we collected last year. We threw a handful of seeds in the ground hoping for the best, and they are amazing. So I'm excited to collect more seeds this year and just spread them all over the garden because they add beautiful color. The pollinators love it, and just look how pretty this looks. Isn't this awesome? We've got a bunch of habanero growing, which I'm super excited about. Our bell peppers didn't make it while I was out of town, so I am excited about these because I'm excited to make some salsa, some hot sauce, some paste. It's gonna be amazing. Loofah has been just taking off this year. It's crazy how much loofah we're pulling off, so I'm probably not gonna grow it next year just because we have so much this year to really make do for a while. And the herbs, however you say it, herbs, y'all correct me, are amazing. So I'm definitely a big flower and herb. Oh my gosh, there's a bird. Hang on, let me see. Oh, he's gone. No. Can you see him? Oh my goodness! There's a hummingbird! That's gorgeous! Hummingbirds have arrived and they come back every year, so I'm super excited. So flowers, herbs, however you say it, are a must for me next year. I'm gonna increase my pepper production and things like that, but I do really need to focus and get a greenhouse established and a high tunnel because the Florida heat and the sun is no joke, and it's really hard on these plants to make it through the summer. But some of them thrive regardless. Loofah did great. The zinnias are obviously great. The peppers, the okra, the roselle, these are all doing amazingly well through the summer, but some things just don't. I still have kale hanging on for dear life. I harvested a bunch before I flew out for these 5 weeks and made some kale chips with them and took care of that harvest. And I didn't have the heart to rip it out. So I left that alone and it came back even though bugs had already attacked it, and it's beautiful. And we will have kale throughout the summer and into winter, and I'm very happy with that. I volunteer butterfly peas everywhere, so I need to dig them up and give them a better place to grow. We ripped out a bunch of stuff along with some of the larger okra plants, so these are going to go to the animals. It's a whole little gorilla cart truck full, and the goats and the pigs are going to love it. You've seen my summer garden, and there's still a lot of really great stuff growing, but it's time for us to start winter seeds. I missed out on that opportunity last year, and I ended up just sowing some stuff directly and ending up buying some starts at some of the plants, and we had an early freeze and we lost it all. So it was an investment down the drain, but that is the risk of winter gardening. Now, we are lucky here in growing zone 8B in northern Florida, where we have a fairly long time to grow things. And typically our first frost doesn't come until October or so, October, November. So we still have plenty of time to get things out. And when it comes to these winter plants, the majority of them are frost hardy, which means they will survive an early frost. They will not necessarily survive a hard frost, which is under 26 degrees Fahrenheit, so under like -5 or so Celsius roughly. But what we're gonna plant for the winter are some of my favorite vegetables. So those include the brassicas like the broccoli and the cabbage and the Brussels sprouts and more kale. Some of the greens that don't do well here in the winter do well in the fall garden here. So we're talking about spinach and real spinach, not the spinach that I like, okay, that I grew up with. does well here in the winter garden, so I'm excited about that. And then there are some medicinal herbs that I'm gonna try to grow for the first time this year that would not survive the summer heat here. So those are more for us to grow towards the winter months. So I'm excited about those, but I'm gonna go through some of those with you real quick now, just to share what I'm looking to grow and why. And then hopefully everything will survive. But that is just how gardening goes, right? Not a single year for us has been the same since we got here. We had droughts, we had floods, we had early freezes, we had late freezes. And even though when you're looking at your growing zone, the USDA gives you an average on when to expect your last and first frost, but it's not an exact science, right? Mother Nature is going to do whatever she wants to do. So gardening is going to come at a risk regardless of where you are and how long you've been there. There's always going to be a risk involved, and all we can do is try again, learn from it, and mitigate some of those risks where we can. Like I said, there's a few things that I love about fall and winter gardening. One of them being not as much bug pressure, or pretty much no bug pressure, which is great. And the weather is a lot nicer. Right now we're at around 100, 110 degrees every day, 100% humidity, and it's just miserable outside. So unless you come out here before 9 a.m. or then after 7 p.m., it's going to be miserable. So you can't really get a whole lot done. And then when it comes to the bug pressure, in addition to that, it's not great gardening. So it's okay. We're moving into fall and winter gardening, and that is one of my favorite seasons to grow things in. And we're lucky enough to be able to do that down here. So some of the stuff I've already started, and some of these seeds come from gifts that we've got from people. What I'm really excited about, one of our local subscribers gifted me a pack of seeds that she collected from her hummingbird vine. And you saw me getting all excited in the garden earlier. They come back every year. So once you have a food source for hummingbirds, they will come back every year and they'll tell their families and friends about you. So I'm excited to get that vine growing and just plant it in a bunch of places, because that vine, once established, is a perennial. It will come back every year, and it's great food for hummingbirds, but also other pollinators, and it's gorgeous when it's in bloom. So I'm super excited about that, because these have really come along nicely. I've got some starts going for more tomatoes right now. I have some yarrow coming and some catnip right now when it comes to the medicinal plants, and I'm excited about that. And I am going to spend some time today and tomorrow to get some more seeds started. So I'm talking about the brassicas are gonna get started now. So that is going to be our broccoli, our cauliflower, our cabbage. We're gonna start these in seed trays so that they can get to a certain size before we transplant them out, so that they have a good start. And on the medicinal front, I am really excited about these. Now, hops is an amazing plant, and I never thought that I'll be able to grow them around here, but I ordered this medicinal herb collection from Haas, and they came with the set, which makes me believe they will grow down here. And then our friends at Mayhem Farms just had an update that their hops plants are doing really well, and they're just a little bit north of us in Alabama, and I'm really excited to grow hops, because it's an amazing medicinal. Obviously, it's used for brewing beer as well, but the reason why it was used as an ingredient for beer to begin with is because it has a very calming effect. So we're going to grow it for its medicinal purposes and for its beauty. It's a great pollinator plant, so I'm really excited about the hops. Brassicas are my favorite vegetables ever, and they need no maintenance. So once they are established and grown, I got a bunch of cabbage, I got a bunch of broccoli here. Let me see what we got. Golden acre, red cabbage, we've got broccoli, we got white cabbage, cauliflower, and then of course we're gonna put more arugula in the ground and spinach. And I'm excited about all of these. And where I originally wanted to grow a lot more, right now I'm focusing on surviving and making sure that I can grow what we need as a family and then use the overage to feed the animals with. So that is my main focus right now, along with starting some seeds like the hummingbird vine that is going to help with beautification of the lot and bringing in more pollinators. So I'm super excited to get all of these started and see them grow for the fall and winter garden. Another thing that we're going to plant for the winter garden, but these will go direct seed directly in the ground, are going to be carrots. We're going to do garlic. We might even try onions. I haven't tried growing onions yet, so that will be an experiment. But carrots and other root vegetables like turnips, so we're going to grow those directly in the ground and be able to harvest them from there. The ground, the in-ground garden right now obviously has the okra in it, but we'll be able to get the direct sow out fairly quickly. The carrots we may try in raised beds just because the ground tends to be a lot more loose, so the carrots can really expand in there. And I'm planning on doing some cover crops with tillage radish and things like that to help us get nutrition in the ground and really break up the ground a little bit more. So there's a lot of that happening this year where we are growing food for us, we are growing food for the animals, we are growing food for the pollinators, but while we're doing that, we're also planting things that will help us improve the ground quality, the soil quality, and help us with covering ground so that the nutrition that's in the ground doesn't wash away. So with that said, if you are in growing zones where you can grow into the fall and winter, where you can get another crop in, get your seeds started if you haven't yet. Get those winter crops ready, get those fall crops ready. Again, I am in 8B, so I still have a while to go, and I still have a couple of months before it really starts getting cold, and I'm excited to get all my winter and fall crops in the ground and see them grow because they're beautiful and they taste really good, and those are some of my favorite vegetables to grow and eat as a family anyway. So I'm excited.